So why was the tribe of Judah picked over the tribe of Reuben to be the line that the Messiah came from and all the kings came from? Why was that? We're going to answer that today. So, Judah was one of Leah's sons as well. Reuben was the firstborn, and then came Simeon, and then Levi, and then Judah. He was from the first, Jacob's first wife, Leah. But how come the line of the Messiah comes from Judah and not from Reuben? That's pretty straightforward. So, first of all, Reuben was disqualified from having the birthright and the rights of the firstborn. The main reason he was disqualified, apart from the fact that his character wasn't that flash, the main reason he was disqualified is he decided that he was going to go in and sleep with the concubine of his father Jacob. Ew. But even though it sounds ill and icky, it was actually the accepted practice to do in those days. For the firstborn, for the one who inherited the birthright, he was expected actually to go sleep with his father's concubines. However, only after the patriarch, or whoever the father was, like Jacob, only after he had died was he supposed to sleep with the concubines. Never the wives, only the concubines. But Reuben, in all his wisdom, no, not really, Reuben decided that he was going to assert his right as a firstborn and sleep with his father's concubine. Unfortunately, that was a really bad decision because it wasn't for another almost 40 years before Jacob died. And that was the main reason why he got disqualified, because he went and defiled his father's marriage, his father's bed. So that was why he got disqualified from being the rights of the firstborn. The rights of the firstborn, or the blessing of the firstborn, then went to Joseph. So then you ask, okay, so where does Judah come into it all? So we start off in chapter 43, and they've come back, they've been down and got some grain and stuff from Egypt, where Joseph is, and they've come back, and they've now run out of that food. So this is like in the first, or at the end of the first year of the famine, probably. And Judah said to his father Israel, we go to Genesis 43, and it's in verse 8. Then Judah said to his father Israel, send the boy along with me, and we will go at once, so that we and you and our children may live and not die. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all of my life. As it is, if we had not delayed, we would have gone and returned twice. So he's basically also saying to his dad, come on, we've got to go get this food if we're going to survive. I'll take responsibility. I'll make sure it happens. And then we go to Genesis chapter 44. Now what's happened is the brothers have gone down to Egypt again, and Joseph has put his silver divination cup inside the sack of Benjamin. And whenever the steward goes chasing after the brothers and say, hey, one of you stolen the cup, they all go, no, 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 because they are innocent. And then they say, well, look, if you find it, you can kill the person who stole it, which is radical, but it's to kind of does prove their innocence a bit. But anyway, then they find the cup in Benjamin's sack. The steward says to them, you can leave Benjamin with us. He's going to be a slave for the rest of his life. And you can go back home. But they say, no, we are not going to leave Benjamin by himself, so you can see their change of heart and their change of character. And they go back with Benjamin to the palace, and Joseph has remained at the palace because he wants to see whether or not it's just Benjamin who the steward brings back or his brothers with him. And of course, all his brothers have come back with him. And then they're pleading with Joseph, pleading their innocence and saying, please let Benjamin go. Because Joseph has said again to them in the palace, you can all go, I'll just keep him. And this is what Judah does. Then Genesis chapter 44, verse 18. Then Judah went up to him and said, pardon your servant, my lord. Let me speak a word to my lord. Do not be angry with your servant, though you are equal to Pharaoh himself. My lord has asked his servants, do you have a father or a brother? And we answered, we have an aged father, and there is a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead. Interesting. And he is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, bring him down to me so I can see him for myself. And we said to my lord, the boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die. But you told your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him what my lord had said. Then our father said, go back and buy a little more food. But we said, we can't go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us will we go. We cannot see the man's face unless our younger brother is with us. Your servant said, my father said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me, and I said, he has surely been torn to pieces. And I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my grey head down to the grave in misery. So now, if the boy is not with us when I go back to your servant my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, if he sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants will bring the grey head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. Your servant guarantees the boy's safety to my father, and I said, if I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you, my father, all my life. And then this is the most amazing part. Now then, please let your servant remain here as my lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No, do not let me see the misery that would come upon my father. So here's Judah. He's willingly sacrificing the rest of his life as a slave to Joseph, though he didn't know it's Joseph. He's willingly sacrificing himself so his brother, youngest brother Benjamin, might go home to his father, because he knows how it's going to affect his father. And that self-sacrifice, that willing to give up your life for somebody else, that is why the royal line came from the line of Judah, and why it didn't come from the line of Reuben. Thanks, I hope that all made sense. Feel free to comment. Bye.